Hey guys, this is Xander Rose. I just wanted to do a bit of a preamble for this episode. We had a little bit of technical difficulties with some of the audio, getting a large amount of interference, I believe, with other technology in the room, and as a result, I had to cut it. The first time this happens, it's quite apparent, so I put in a little tom fill that you can hear, and there was just no way to edit around it. The second and third times you won't really notice them because they happen at the mid-roll and at the end, but I'll be back at both cases to see you guys again. We'll definitely try to improve our audio situation as soon as we can by getting more microphones to isolate each other's audio and whatnot. But until then, I hope you enjoy the episode. We weren't able to re-record since, as young friend mentions, he does go on vacation right after recording. So yeah, it's a great conversation regardless, though, and I hope you enjoyed a lot. So without further ado, please help me in welcoming young friend. Welcome to the Pop Off Podcast. This is episode 3. We're here with young friend.
Hello.
And
good morning.
For those who haven't listened to the podcast before, this is basically our attempt to catalog and explore the experiences of people in the nightlife and music industry. We're based out here in Vancouver, so that's where most of our guests are coming from for these first initial episodes. But we'd love to hear who you guys would like to see on the show online on our socials, which we will let you know about during the mid-roll and at the end of the show. So feel free to contact us there and give us some feedback. If you enjoy this show or any of the other ones that you've heard so far, we would really appreciate you leaving us a review on iTunes. But without further ado, let's get into it. So thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
How are you doing, my friend?
I'm kind of sick, but I'm still happy to be here.
Nice, dude. We're happy to have you
I
here.
feel like everyone's sick, right? It's the flu season now.
It's the season for it.
Actually, no, I had the sickness like 2 weeks ago when the temperature just like flipped,
Yeah, that was
right?
when most people got it, but
Yeah,
I didn't get it. And then I'm like,
Yeah, late
today I
bloomer.
woke up and I was like, today's the day.
Today's the day.
Are you one of those people who's like, you're going in on vitamin C and all the
I'm
meds
trying
and stuff?
to. I'm not usually I just like let it take over and then
Yeah,
like try and
Just let your body
just let
figure
it
it out.
run its
yeah.
course.
yeah.
But this time around, because I'm leaving in like 3 days, I'm like, fuck, I gotta clean it up and get it out of my system.
Where you headed?
before I go. I'm going to Denmark.
Hey, where are you going to Denmark?
Romantic reasons.
The lady
Nice.
friend.
That's
or the
cool.
man friend. You know, it's 2019. I ain't judging.
This is maybe I'll leave that a mystery.
Yeah.
It it's a lady friend, but
But pretend you didn't
But-
say.
you don't know that.
You don't know that.
Could be
Alright.
anybody.
Yeah, that's so. And why Denmark? Is there a particular reason?
She goes to school there.
Oh, okay.
She takes advertising.
Have you?
So I feel like I'm exposing her. She's gonna hate it if she listens to it, but
Yeah, it's okay if you want me to take it.
she's a EU citizen and they get free tuition
Oh, sick.
in Europe.
That's
Nice.
sick. Damn.
Yeah,
Right on.
pretty sweet.
I actually, my uncle's from Denmark, but I've never like been, or I barely know anything about it. So
I've
have
also
you been
never been.
researching it in preparation
yeah,
for the trip,
I've been,
or?
like as much research as I can. It's like huge on design. Like it's like kind of the forefront of the design world.
Yeah,
It's
similar to like Sweden, right? Because that's
Yeah,
where
exactly. Like
IKEA
very
is from,
similar.
right?
Yeah,
Sweden. Yeah.
very similar.
Go IKEA, man.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of like beautiful buildings.
The architecture.
That's awesome. I love architecture the most. When I
Me
go
too.
traveling, that's like my
It's the
favorite
best
part of it.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's so different everywhere. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, like that's kind of what separate. Like I was in Switzerland in February.
Yeah.
And what separated like the climate was so similar to how it is here, but just like the style of the architecture is so different
Yeah.
than what you see in like Vancouver.
Yeah.
It's really
Totally.
cool.
I wonder what the
Honestly.
music scene's like out in Denmark. What do you think?
I
I
think
think
it's
it's-
like really folk,
Yeah.
like a lot of like and like a lot of like in the rest of Europe, like
Yeah.
electronic music
Super
is pretty
techno.
popular. Yeah,
Like,
That's because that's what I was thinking is like everyone's like stereotypes in North America of like that region in Europe is
Yeah.
like, oh, it's all like folk musics and folk towns and stuff.
Yeah.
And then you kind of discover like, oh no, the Netherlands is the dance music capital of the world.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like my whole perspective flipped.
The
And I was like,
Netherlands are so
straight
cool.
up.
Europe is just full of EDM everywhere.
It's everywhere. I remember I was in Paris
Mhm.
and I was traveling by myself, but I had met this like group of students that were studying together in The Hague,
Yeah.
in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
But we all met in Paris because we were staying in the same hostel. and they were like, yeah, we got to go out to this club. It's like on a boat. So there's like this boat on the Seine.
Yeah.
It's like a club, and it was just like crazy techno party. And I didn't know what to expect. I was expecting like a regular club, but it was like crazy techno, like hard techno. It was really, really fun.
Nice.
Yeah, I remember in the summer I set up a party for all the Irish, because we have.
Oh, the Irish are the best.
They're wild, man. And
I'm also going to Dublin.
Hell yeah, dude! Yeah. Go party with some Irish people for me, man.
They're great.
But yeah, I set up a party for them. It was like a 600-person party, and they played like nothing but techno.
Yeah,
and like it's crazy just to see like the differences in the vibe and the energy, man. Because like I usually play like college parties, and it's all like like radio pop and like and all this stuff. But to like go from that to a party where the beat never stops, it was insane.
When you rest.
No rest. There's no sleep. Ain't no rest for the wicked.
Well, like you gotta have a different kind of stamina for those types of like. I went to some warehouse parties like that in Toronto that were pretty weird and off the wall, and it's like you just gotta manage your own energy. If you gotta go to the bathroom, and stuff. Take a rest. You don't have to be dancing the whole time.
Like full body workout.
Yeah.
In like a techno club.
Yeah,
because like you're like I don't know. It's something you just can't. I can't. At least when I'm there, I just can't stop.
It's a marathon though, not a sprint. You know
what I mean?
Like,
absolutely.
I agree with you though. Like the next day, you're just out of commission. You're like, I'm so tired. It's like I just worked out for like 6 hours.
Everywhere in Europe, they like here in Vancouver, the party usually ends like
2 or
3, like pretty early.
Even earlier, man. Like everyone leaves at 1.
I know, and when I got to Europe, it's so different. Like. We partied in Paris. There was one night where we like left the club at like 8:30 a.m.
Yeah,
and, everybody was on their way to work. Like people were like in suits.
It's the same way in Brazil too.
Yeah,
they like go
all night long.
Could you imagine just like that 8 to 9 transition where people are coming out of the club all fucked up, and then you mix them with like businessmen in suits and stuff.
And all the businessmen are like judging the kids that were just partying, and then all the party kids are like, holy shit, he's going to work. it's really fun.
Yeah.
Well, I remember a bunch of times we would go clubbing until the AM. And then I was in Brazil this summer of 2015. I was teaching at a university, and I would go out clubbing with a bunch of my students because they were like older than me because I was teaching English. So a lot of them were like learning it later in life or whatever to improve their economic opportunities. And so I go clubbing with them, and we would go to the university to watch like the sunrise. Like that's how late we were out. Yeah,
that's actually
like 6 a.m. or whatever.
I wonder why Vancouver just doesn't have that culture.
It's because of like the way that it's mapped out. Like if you're from North Van and you're
going,
you gotta
like, take
downtown,
a bus or SkyTrain.
Like, because like nobody really wants to take a cab from downtown all the way back to North Van.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Especially if you're like I mean, I don't really go clubbing, but
everyone does though. Like, they still do.
It's
after 2 a.m. or whatever. They still just
I can't afford that. I can't afford a cab back.
Well, if you split it with enough people, then it's a little bit more reasonable.
Yeah,
and you just build it into like your night. So you usually leave later as well.
Yeah.
And then you're having a harder pregame, which means it's also riskier to try to get in because you got to make sure you're not too drunk and stuff. But you're right that Vancouver's geography is very like pertinent to the problem itself. Yeah. And like, I even have the feeling when people are like, oh, let's go to Gorgamesh and party until 8 a.m. where I'm just like, I don't know if I have the stamina for that because we started partying at like 8 p.m. or whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas in Brazil and in Europe and stuff, they don't start partying until much later.
Till like 1.
Yeah.
They'll start like pregame at like 12
or 1.
Yeah. Which is like super weird coming from here and transitioning into that because like here people start pregame at like
8,
sometimes earlier. Like people
you like go over at like 7 and then you start drinking at like 8 kind of thing.
Yeah. I wonder what people like in Europe think of that. Do they think we're fucked?
they think that we're like what's the word? They think we're like weak because of it.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
The real party is like in the AM.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like this shit is weak. This party scene is weak.
It is. I agree.
Comparative to other places,
I mean, like when I was in Europe, I like went to clubs and like tried that out. But here, I just like hate going to clubs. I honestly couldn't tell you the last time I went to like an actual club. here in Vancouver.
When I was out in Toronto and had to be like a regular person again, and I didn't have my like DJ status and stuff, it sucked. I was like, then when I got to realize what it was like to be a normal person going clubbing again and waiting in gas lines and paying cover, I was like, this sucks.
So not worth it.
Why would I want to do that?
Yeah. Especially like the more commercial and big the club is, like Rebel in Toronto is like, oh my god, strict dress codes and stuff. It's just not nearly as fun as being behind the scenes, at least in it. So definitely. I remember too when I was out in Toronto, I was living with a very diverse group of people from like all around the world. Yeah. And the people from Europe or Latin America would come to me because I was known as like the party guy who would always be down to go out and stuff.
Let's go.
They'd come to me at like 11:30 p.m. and be like, "Hey, do you want to go clubbing tonight?" I'm like, "You should have asked me 2 hours ago.
Like,
I'm ready. There's nothing we can go. There's nothing we can do now. Like 11:30 is too late to decide you want to go out."
That's like here.
Yeah.
I've only been to Toronto, I think twice, and when I was there, I was underage, so I didn't get to party. I think I was like just about to turn 19.
I thought Toronto, I guess it's like to decide to party, but like I remember like in Toronto we like pre-gamed until 12 and then left.
Yeah, but you can't decide you want to leave. Like you can't decide we're gonna go out tonight at 11:30 because that means you have to get ready, start drinking, and then leave to go wherever. Decide where you're gonna go. You know what I mean? And it's like you're gonna pay a ton for cover and stuff. So it's like I'm not really about that. Which is why probably my favorite club in Toronto was the Cabana outdoor beach party one. Yeah, that was like attached to Rebel. Oh, it was dope. And it was like, they would run from like 2 p.m. until like midnight. Mm-hmm. And like the headline DJ would go on at like 10 p.m. or whatever.
Cool.
Nice.
And so it was just
that's great. I mean, like for me, that's ideal.
Like, I'd rather get to go to bed so early.
Yeah, it's like
I'd rather day party like that.
Yeah.
The only thing is, there's like, I have a lot of like personal issues with the day party.
Why?
Like I've had like some really strange experiences, like getting like super drunk during the day. Like when we used to go to one of my buddies, he's got a cabin up in Caribou, and we used to go and play. You heard like Wizard Status? You ever heard of that game?
No.
So that's when you like every time you drink a beer, you like put it on top of it and you tape it around and you slowly build this like wizard staff.
Oh, okay.
And whoever has the longest staff at like the end of the day wins.
Nice.
Nobody ever makes it there because you start drinking at like 8 a.m. And it's just like a whole day thing because you like you stop at like 8 p.m. and that's when you're like, who has the longest one?
Yeah.
And I remember like, I don't even remember how many I drank, but I remember like waking up in this like big grass field and none of my friends were around and I had that wizard style. It's fun when it's like starting, when you're like first starting to get drunk. And you're like, this is great.
Yeah.
But then when you
gets out of control.
really hits you and you're like, it's 1 in the afternoon and I'm like totally
blackout. Yeah.
That's not very fun.
That's different though. You know, like I feel like if you go to like a day club, you'd like at least have
I've never been to a day club.
Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah, well, it's a cool vibe just because it's, you know, the sun's out and it kind of just feels like you're drinking like with friends and like they're, you know, at a barbecue or something. But then it's like everyone is also super attractive because it's like a club scene and stuff and there's like great music playing and it's like, it just feels really, I really like the vibe a lot. And it's like, you can go up and there's plenty of people dancing anytime, but it's not like the club vibe where it's like dark and smoky and stuff.
That's like those are like things I dislike about the club.
Yeah.
There's like a bunch of people, it's really sweaty, it's very loud, and it's very dark.
Yeah, it's much more chill than that. And like some of the coolest people I met in Toronto was like at that day
party. Cool. Because I feel like it's like you can actually like talk to people.
Yeah, I mean it's more casual kind of dancing and stuff, even though it's like still house music or whatever. Yeah. So I really enjoyed it.
I feel like people think it's lame because I'm like never like I want to go clubbing. It's always like let's go to like a cool like bar or something like that. That's like so like stereotypical. I'm an artist. I
fuck a bar,
like
a coffee shop.
Like, take me to the jazz bar, like that kind of bullshit.
No, that's
but I like it because it's like you get to communicate with your friends, and it's like social, but it's still intimate. Whereas like the club just feels very, very like I don't know.
There's a lot of like social dynamics going on.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's because I had a huge fan a ton that I like that maybe I just don't understand that social dynamic or what. But I just like I like being like, I'm this close to you, I can like speak at my normal like talking level.
Yeah.
And we can still like have drinks.
I find like being on the back end, and Koji can probably attest to this, but being part of the DJs or promoters, the back end crew that's putting on the night is a lot more similar to that kind of vibe where you can have conversations with people.
Yeah, totally.
None of you are like completely blitzed except for some mutual friends of ours. We consistently do. But in general, I think it's a much better vibe than being like a regular patron, in my own opinion. It's like, and as I've gotten older, it's a vibe that I prefer.
It's like you're working with a team to pull something off, you know? Like
that's like playing a show.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I work with the events company at UBC. It's like we throw events for all these UBC students, and like the people I hang out with are the people on my team. I don't really give. Like, actually, I shouldn't say that. I do care about the people that do come. It's just like I'm not like going out of my way to like meet people because I already have my people. You know? And I'm having fun with those guys. So
I understand that.
And I think it's like I said. I think it also is a thing with age where it's like when I was like 19 and stuff. I love going to raves first and then going to club shows and stuff because I don't know. I just like being around a ton of people. I like getting sweaty and being just dancing like crazy. And as I've gotten older, it's like, okay, now I see the club more as like the business side of it. And it's like talking to my coworkers is like the fun part. That I like
totally.
Also, like in retrospect, I love to like dance. So like going out like dancing is great too. But I see what you mean. I feel like I never had that phase though of like wanting to go out to the clubs and get like total blackout and just like not know anybody and it's really sweaty and gross. Like, I never had that phase. I feel like I partied so much when I was younger at like house parties and stuff. I got it like all out of my system, and now I'm just like I want to like drink with my friends.
I think it's
like a casual environment.
I think it's the environment too, because like I have a lot of the energy around me. Especially like in Greek life and stuff. As like a fraternity, like in fraternities and sororities, there's a lot of that attitude of like, let's go out and get blackout and just like see what happens, you know? And it's just like,
see, I'm like not immersed in that.
I was, I was like that was like a big thing for me, like in like second year, third year when I just turned like freshly 19, just get as lit as you can, as fast as you can, and just like
nights
I remember that. I remember that phase for you.
Yeah, I was partying like 4 or 5 times a week.
It was wild.
It was hurt, dude. Like but like I grew out of it, man, and it's like now that like as a DJ and like a member of the industry, you know, it's like I don't want to go out and get like absolutely plastered. Most nights I don't even drink. I just go like have
go network and like just like have a good time.
Yeah, and show people like maybe like have like a drink or two, but like don't get like blitzed or anything. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
It's just like I just can't afford it. I can't afford it, and my body's just totaled after all that. You know?
Yeah, it's the exact same like playing a show. Like for me, it's people come to the shows and they get like really really crazy.
Yeah,
and, like drink a ton or whatever, and people always ask me if I'm like really drunk when I'm on stage. Like I feel like I get that all the time. People are like, "Oh, like did you drink a bunch like before your performance?" I'm like, "Not a bit." Like
because your energy and confidence is just
it's just so like strong. It's just like a lot of like. I feel like I get that like when I come off. If I like when I get off stage, it's like I have that feeling of like I have so much adrenaline and like it's crazy. Yeah. But
that's a good feeling to have.
Yeah, it's just like from like the crowd, like interacting,
exchange,
and like feeding off of them is like the coolest thing. It's like
it's addicting, dude.
Well, yeah, it's like a drug. That feeling, you know, like when you get off stage and you're like, oh, that went great.
Yeah,
and like the energy in the room is like so high. It's such a good feeling.
For me, it's like when I hit as a DJ, it's like when I hit the right song and everyone's like got their hands up the same song. You know? Like at that, it's just like I'm like in ecstasy because it just feels so good to see everyone. You know what I mean? I'm sure you could.
Well, I was thinking, you know, one of the moments that was really personally gave me that kind of feeling was people jumping on the fucking subwoofer asking for another song when we were at closing. I mean, at the stop at UBC, play just one more song, please, just one more song. I was like, oh, that was a great feeling.
Begging you.
Yeah. I was like, no, can't do it, but thank you.
That's actually a funny story because when we played the EP, I played an EP release party for the EP I put out in July.
Yeah.
And I had rehearsed with the band, like the whole set. We had like every song like ready to go. And then I was like, okay, like it was over. I said goodnight. and then they were like chanting for another one, like they were chanting for an encore, and I went back to the mic and I was like, we don't know any more songs.
I've done my entire repertoire. That's it.
We prepared this many. That's what we know. Like we are not. We couldn't play anything else right now. Yeah. It would be bad. Go home.
That's hilarious.
I felt it was embarrassing. It was really my fault. Like I should have said goodnight one song early and then like prepared for an encore like that. Like, and then we also know this song that we're going to do as an encore.
Or just structure your future shows where you have like the backup encore song that you don't need to play. But I
guess I didn't expect it, or I didn't really think about it.
Yeah, but now you know, dude.
I was also like really lost in like the energy of the room had at that show. It was really, I was like, we can't play anymore. We rehearsed 12 and that's it. We played all of them already.
Sucks,
Just repeat one, I guess, would be the move.
I've done that before. We did that at a relative's show.
223.
Yeah.
You brought up something right before we started recording, which is maybe changing your name. So do you want to talk about that first?
That's like
before we get
super minimal, and we don't know yet. We just like, I feel like, so you know a little bit about my story. It was like I started doing rap music, and that was like the first music I released was rap, and sort of built this like image as a rapper. And then I had like a big transition and switch and started making like indie pop music. And the whole like the reason why I was Young Friend wasn't because like that's like a rap thing. It was like actually being like somebody's younger friend.
Right. You said you were referred to that by someone.
Exactly. That's what like my friends used to call me.
Yeah, because you'd always hang out with my friends. Exactly. And like, I'm 2 years older.
And you'd always say like it's the young friend.
It's my young friend.
Like, it's this
so
but it does sound like a rap.
Well, because like
thing.
young,
whatever,
young like whatever, you know. But I feel like because I have like the young in the name, and because I used to make rap, I'm still like categorized as a rapper.
Right.
Like I couldn't tell you how many DMs I get. That's like SoundCloud rappers being like, "Hey, here's this beat that I bought. Please do a feature." And it's like, I don't rap.
Who are you?
It's like, one, I've never met you before. No, like disrespect or anything. I know they're just trying to like make music and make connections, like we all are. But if you did a little bit of research, like if you took like 30 seconds to go to my Spotify and listen to like a song, you'd be like, oh, he's singing. It's not like
not rap.
It's the exact same thing happens in dance music, right? Someone will ask you to collab, and I'm like, you make a completely different genre than me.
It's like, I think it's cool to like collide genres like that, like Bon Iver and Kanye work together all the time, which is like super crazy. And like James Blake works with all these cool artists, and like I totally get that. It's just when trying to build this brand as like indie pop, I don't want to be doing like features on these like random
trap
songs. It's like I feel like I have to put a lot of like focus and energy into like creating this brand and this lore. So I feel like so we're thinking about changing it to like just friend in all caps. Like,
I think that might be a good idea.
I think so too.
And you know, when you point out like Kanye and Bon Iver collabing, it's like, I agree with you that doing that kind of genre mashing, but I really think you have to be at a point where you've already established your brand and sound, and then you can start experimenting with it, right?
Like at that point, we're like, we know Kanye's style, sort of, and
sort of.
And we know Bon Iver's style, also sort of. Like we kind of know what a collab between the two of them is.
And we have expectations that they can then subvert or change in some way.
If I were to say like, I don't know, if Paul McCartney was going to collab with like Chance the Rapper, you probably know what that's going to
and you definitely would want to hear it. But if you hear Joe Schmo, electronic producer who's been doing it for 2 years, is collaborating with your buddy, and you're like, what are they going to make?
You don't even know.
Because you have no expectations. You don't know. And then if that's the one, like if I were to do like a trap single with some artist and that were to blow up, that's the
expectations that are on you now.
People are going to be like, oh, because they click on the Spotify, they expect more of that. and then they go and they hear me singing about sad boy shit, and they're gonna be like, oh,
WTF,
I wanted some hard rap.
Yeah.
Like, got back from, I was on vacation for 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Europe traveling. I went through like a breakup and was kind of just like, it felt like I didn't know who I was or what I wanted or like what I was doing at all. Felt very like scrambled and disorganized. So writing that EP that came out this summer was like this departure from that. I was like, I want to get away from this feeling and figure out like what's happening and like understand myself a little bit better. And then after that came out, I wrote all this other music, which is what I'm working on now with this producer, like going back and reworking. It's this more developed, more passionate stuff. It's like, I feel like it's just more, what's the word I'm looking for? Focused. It's like less, I don't really know what's happening, but this is kind of what it's like. It's like, this is what it is.
Yeah.
It's very defined.
Yeah.
It's in its sound and in its content. Like, I don't think that there's anything that you guys would listen to and be like, I don't know what this song's about.
Right.
And then you hear it and be like, yeah, like I get it immediately, which is key.
So this EP that came out this summer, was that your first like full EP release?
It's my first like official, I don't know, I put out a mixtape in January.
Yeah.
That was on like Spotify. Like it was everywhere.
Yeah. But it wasn't on a label or?
No, it was independent.
Yeah, independent.
Release.
And then this summer was on a label.
And then this summer was through Nyla Records.
Right.
Yeah.
But the we took the mixtape down.
Okay.
We took it off of all
the one from
those.
January. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you rework it?
No. 2 of the songs from it stayed.
Yeah.
Like we released those as singles through Nyla.
Oh, right.
But the rest of the album was taken down. It was 11 songs.
Okay.
And we kept 2,
Okay.
which is really funny. But I totally understand why, which kind of comes back to what we were talking about before, about consistency.
Yeah.
And the 2 songs that stayed are consistent with like the music that I put out in July. Like it was like, and pretty consistent with stuff I make now too.
Yeah. Both in terms of quality, and
sound,
character,
content, everything. Like it was the same, but the rest of it was this rap music. Yeah, I'm not calling it an album because it was not an album. It was absolutely.
It wasn't one idea.
No, it was not one like concept, like thorough project. It was like I made a bunch of songs and then put them
in order.
It's like that was how it turned out, and it was really inconsistent. And when I first spoke with Nyla the first time I went over and like had a conversation with them, they were like, "We love your music, but if somebody hears this rap song and goes to your like Spotify profile, they're gonna probably be expecting more of that. And then if they hear a song like one of these more like folk kind of acoustic tunes, like they're gonna be like, oh, I don't want to listen to that.
Yeah.
Because I wanted, this is what I expected,
Mm-hmm.
and you didn't fulfill the expectation.
Right.
Which is shitty to think that like you should be making stuff to fulfill what people expect.
Yeah.
But in a way, that's kind of how you build your platform, I feel.
And that was what we were talking about earlier with like, okay, established artists can start experimenting because
like Dominic Fike. You guys listen to Dominic Fike?
No.
He like put out this EP that's a bunch of demos, and it's fantastic. It's 14 minutes long. It's a bunch of like rock, like indie rock pop songs. Mm. Phenomenal songs. Like his songwriting is unreal. And then he put out 2 singles during the summertime that were like so different than the rest of like than the EP. But because the EP blew up, he had this platform and all these people listening where he could kind of put out
whatever
anything.
Wanted.
And people would be like, this is really cool. Like, but it's when when nobody knows who you are, you can't put out this wildly experimental song that sounds like nothing like what everything else you put out, because people are just gonna be like, that's inconsistent. It's disorganized.
Yeah.
And like, what are you going for?
Yeah. Can you tell us
same Rockhampton did the same thing.
A little bit about what the process then was like of Nyla kind of discovering you or approaching you to make the project for the summer? Yeah, well,
so where did it start? The Crouch and 40 Sippas.
Yeah.
They got signed this summer of 2018 or 2017.
Yeah, one of those. Yeah.
I think it was 2018. It must have been 2018.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was 2018.
Okay, so
that was when they signed, because they were approached, like they found them through some Facebook group and they posted their music, and then Nyla contacted them. I don't really remember the story, but they signed to Nyla, and then they kind of put Nyla onto like my stuff, but I didn't have anything out at the time. Like I was just like making music and putting it on SoundCloud, and like no official releases, no like platform releases. And then I was like, I've been talking with Angus Maud, the head of Nyla, for a little bit. We had like a few different conversations just like online and talking about music. And then I got back from my trip. And so, backtrack again. I'm so sorry. This like my story is like so confusing even for me.
Yeah.
And so I put out an album, my mixtape, on like January 26th of 2019.
Yeah.
And like 4 days after it came out, I flew to Europe for like 4 months, which is like the most anti-marketing thing ever. It was like just totally evade all like
interaction
like,
with people.
Well, yeah, and like I'm not gonna play. Like I played a really big release show, and then didn't play any more shows for the album.
I remember
didn't
that.
do any interviews. I did one podcast before the album came out.
Okay.
I was on the island, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
And and I was away, and I didn't bring my laptop with me. I didn't like bring any instruments with me. Like I was there with a notebook and like my camera. And I was like, this is my time to gather like so much inspiration. And I did. And then I got back, and like I landed at like 6 p.m. in March. I don't remember what day. And I got off the plane. I took the SkyTrain back to my house, and I got home. I threw all my bags on the floor. I opened up my computer, and I made a song. And I wrote like an entire song.
Yeah.
And that song was the single for the EP that came out in July. And like the one we did like the big video for. And I had that song pocketed as a demo for like a couple weeks, and Nyla was like, hey, we want to meet you and like sit down with you and just like talk, which is really funny.
And that was just as a result of the mixtape. They hadn't heard this demo or anything.
No, they hadn't heard the demo or anything. And I sat down with them, we were talking, and they were like, play us some of your demos. And I played them that song, and they're like, okay, yeah, we really want to work with you. And I was like, cool, I really want to work with you too. And then I guess that was March. It took me like 2 months to sign my contracts with them.
Okay.
I did not sign right away because I was a little skeptical, I'll admit, because contracts are hard to read.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have enough money to hire a lawyer to read them for me.
Right.
So, well, I just got back from my trip. I was like very broke. And so I took the time, I like read the contracts, was like, okay, this seems pretty good. And then we signed them in May. And during those like 2 months, I like wrote the EP and like a bunch more stuff.
On 2 months, you did an entire EP in 2 months.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
It was released 2 months later.
It was.
What was the turnaround?
We signed in May, and then it was released in July. So
yeah,
I guess I started writing the EP in March, and I probably finished it. Probably took like 3 months to write the EP.
Okay.
But also like keep in mind, like I did like everything for it.
Yeah.
Like I produced it out of my bedroom.
Right.
Recorded in my closet.
Well, I was just thinking about how quick their turnaround time is from getting a completed work to live on platforms.
Is it was like a really fast turnaround, and I love that project. Like I think it's really cool as like my first thing that's out there publicly that's going to stay there.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't speak for like 5 years from now.
Yeah.
But like for now, that's what's going to stay.
Yeah.
And then after that came out, I wrote a whole album. I wrote like an 11 song like actual album, and I was like so stoked. I was like, we're going to put this out in January. It's going to be this big thing. And then we were like, no, let's do another EP. So I wrote another EP, and I have all of these
all this music.
demos. Yeah. Like 30 songs.
Wow.
And
In the vault.
And I felt the whole time, like, I love the songs, and it's for sure, like, some of my best songwriting, really proud of it, but it felt like something was missing from it. And I came to the conclusion that that was because I was producing in my bedroom.
Mm.
And I know that there's like a lot of fantastic artists that produce in their bedroom and like do it all from their house. And I think that that is like so cool. But for where I want to take my stuff personally, I don't know how to do that from my bedroom.
Yeah.
So currently I'm working with a producer. And we're working on a new EP comprised of like a couple of the demos that I wrote in the past like 5 months. And we're just gonna like rework, rewrite.
So was that a process
rearrange.
of you went to Nyla and said, "Hey, I've been writing all this music, but I need to get connected to a producer"? Did you connect with them yourself, or?
I connected with him through this course that I'm taking at BCIT.
Okay.
So I'm in this program called Music Business, The Essentials,
Mhm.
and it's like just how to be a like functioning member of the industry and like how to make money and
Yeah.
how to understand grant writing, touring, and merch, and marketing, and how to do like, marketing plans and all that stuff. Like it's how like learning all these little details of things that will really help you build your career.
Yeah.
And he takes the class, and I met him in class, and
Nice.
he was like, "Come by and check out the studio sometime." I was like, "I would love to." And then we went, and I played him some demos, and he was like, "I really want to work on these." And I was like, "I would really love to work on these with you too, because I want to like make something big, like something really with really high production value, something that I'm super impressed by. Because right now I'm not impressed by my stuff. I think it's good, but I like
not blowing you out of the water.
I want to like be like totally. I want to like feel that like you know when you hear a song that you love so much and you're like, holy shit, like this is the best shit I've ever heard.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to feel that way about like the production.
Yeah.
And I think that my songwriting's great, but my production is not top tier. Like there's so much that I don't know and so much that I have to learn. And he's just gonna be helping me and teaching me, and we're gonna work on this EP. So the next time I put out music.
Have you guys already started working together in the
first session was last night.
It went well?
It was great. He's like such a down to earth guy, and he knows exactly what I want.
Yeah.
And it's cool to work with somebody that actually likes what you're making.
Totally, yeah.
Not that I have worked with people that don't like what I'm making before. This is my first time like being in a real studio.
Yeah.
And but he's like really passionate about it. He really likes the music. He also has been very clear that he's like, I'm here to help your vision develop and to enhance it. I'm not here to take something and make it my style of thing, like a lot of people do.
Yeah.
He was like, I want to help you make this what you want it to be.
Yeah.
And like bring the best out of you for this, which is
Stuff.
super cool.
In my experience, like once you get to a certain stage as a producer, like the only way to improve is to actually get into a studio situation like that with other people. I've been going to Nimbus a couple Tuesdays to hang out, and it's a really cool experience because one of the guys I go there a lot with, I would say he's like the same level as me as a producer.
That's cool.
So that's great. And then there's also some guys that we hang out there who are like fresh students to Nimbus, and they're just starting to learn production.
Yeah.
And it's awesome because one, I realize how much technical knowledge I've gained in like 3 years or whatever. I'm like, wow, I know a lot of shit about this. But then also just having other people to bounce ideas off of, I found like
it's huge.
It became a lot easier to get creative and to make more interesting decisions where it was like there was things where if I was at home, I would probably ruminate about how to solve this problem or thing that I wanted to do. Whereas there it was like, we were just fucking around with the song and like, just how this sound? And then we were just doing it like, that sounds dope.
It's I feel like when you're by yourself, it's a lot easier to be like, no, I'm not going to try that because it's going to sound like shit.
Yeah.
But if you're with a bunch of people, you're like, might as well try it because we can always just take it away. Yeah. And I don't know why that environment changes when you're with
I think it's because it's like you have the feedback. Like, you know, it's like super easy to like think of something.
And it feels more playful too. Like you're just making music with friends and stuff. It like I don't feel the same sense of pressure on myself as I would if I'm like,
which is so
I need to make this song good. What am I doing? Like, you know. Whereas there, it's like, it's a lot more creative and stuff. I would say, like, I wouldn't want to be in that situation when mixing and mastering, where I'm making, like, it's just purely technical details that I'm fine tuning, or like trying to make it as loud as possible in the case of dance music, right? Like, I don't need to be boring a bunch of people like a studio audience or whatever. But definitely for like I would say like the middle part of the production process, it's so useful. And then obviously like if it's the very beginning, it's like that's when a collab is made most easily. So
well, we're like at this interesting point right now because these songs are like 75% done.
Yeah.
Like the demos are pretty developed. There's just a lot we want to do to make it better.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be working on it for like a few months.
Hi.
Like we're gonna be probably trying. I think we're trying to put it out by like next summer.
Nice. Which
is a long ass time from now.
That's the full album, right?
No,
that's the EP.
Is what you planning the album release then?
The album.
You have to see where you're at by then, because you might change a lot.
I guess what's happening is like we're taking like our favorite tracks out of like all the demos, making it an EP.
So you might break up that album that you have.
That's what's happening, and then I'm probably gonna like I might try and sell some of the songs, like songwriting for people.
Yeah,
because a couple of like opportunities for that have risen already, and that's a great way to like fund your own projects, especially for somebody in my position that has like fully realized songs that
just don't fit with your stuff.
It's like I might as well, rather than just like pocket them and keep them in a folder on my computer, I might as well like give them to somebody or sell them to somebody that it's gonna benefit. Like I've already found one artist here in Vancouver that's gonna be like I'm giving her one of my songs.
Yeah.
And I'm like gonna be getting like songwriting credit and we're gonna work on it more together and develop it a bit more, which is super cool.
And then it's like this song would have stayed. You get to see it release and it's still your work and you can still be proud of it.
And you can still like support them, be like, hey, like I like co-wrote this song. It's out now. Like go support them, which is really cool because you're collaborating, you're working with more local artists. It's
totally.
Also, it's a great way, like I said before, to fund your own stuff.
Yeah,
because like recording is very expensive.
That's interesting because I don't know too much about like the songwriter part of it. Obviously, there's a lot of controversy and stuff around the production world.
Yeah,
on getting production credits and ghost producing and all that kind of business. I actually reminded myself. I was preparing for a show on Friday. And I was going through like my entire projects folder of music, listening to old stuff. And I remembered that I ghost produced this song for someone like 2 years ago. That like by my standards today is like way worse than what I'm making now. And I'm like, I got paid for this. I completely forgot that I had done that. And that's literally the only thing I've ever ghost produced was this one song. And I don't even remember who the artist was or anything. And so I don't know. It's
that's great.
It's crazy.
I totally support that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys fund their main DJ artist career by ghost producing on the side.
A lot of artists have writers.
Yeah.
Like Beyonce has like a huge team of writers she's working with. But that like is a testament to like a lot of these older musicians because you look at like Freddie Mercury and like David Bowie. Like Freddie Mercury wrote Bohemian Rhapsody. By himself.
Yeah.
Like that is
on his own. Yeah.
He is the songwriter
the entire thing
for that song.
Yeah.
But like you look at like a Nicki Minaj song, there's like a whole writing team.
There's an amazing mini doc about Zed and Gray's The Middle.
Oh cool.
You know that song?
Yeah.
Where it's so weird how open they are about it. But Gray was like, so here's the demo that we originally sent to Zed. And it's like 90% the finished product, right? Like all the core ideas, even like Gray are professional like producers, so it's mixed well and everything and and then they find a songwriter who's got this amazing voice, and she writes all the lyrics and stuff. And then they shop it around to find the vocalist who's actually going to sing it. Yeah. And everyone in the comments of this mini doc is like, why don't you just use this songwriter? Her voice isn't amazing. And they're like, because that's not how it works, man.
Well, yeah, like that's totally it. Is like sometimes I feel like I write stuff that I like in concept, but it's not meant for me.
Yeah, it's like that girl doesn't have an established brand of being a singer or anything. She's a songwriter. That's her role in the industry.
That's how she like pays her rent.
And then Zed, I know he's also using a mixing engineer and a mastering engineer. So if anything, he's more like a DJ Khaled in that scenario where he's a producer, more like a movie producer, where he's like, I'm just gonna bring all the right people to the table, make a song.
Absolutely. And I feel like it's there's all this negative connotation about like ghost producing and like people getting co-writers on songs. Yeah. But that's the nature of the industry right now. That's like how it works. And
like, I honestly don't really see a problem with that at all. Yeah, because they're making beautiful music, you know, like
and they don't have an issue with it. Like that's their job is to help like write these songs. That's why it's like performance artist and songwriter. They can be two different credits. Like this person may have like the brand. They got the image, they got the look.
And the unique voice or whatever.
They got the production, people, fans, but maybe they don't know how to write. Maybe they just are killer singers, like killer trained singers, but they don't know how to write. And like that's fine. That's fine. Like everybody's got their own talent. It's like you don't expect the producer to sing on a track. Yeah, but it's kind of the same thing because production supports how much of the song. Yeah. Like all these songs that you hear on the radio, it's like this song would sound terrible if the producer like didn't put any effort into making the vocalist sound good. Yeah, it's like all these different components that go together to make this product. Yeah. That obviously it gets put on this one person, like gets put on the star, the artist that it's under. But I don't think like the producers have an issue with it because
the analogy I see, I think, to film is really like strong, and because everyone praises Kevin Feige, who's like he was the he's now chief creative officer, I think, for Marvel, but he used to just have the title of like producer on every single Marvel movie, and it was his job. You know, he's not directing any of the movies. He's not acting in any of them. He's not writing any of them. Yeah. It's like he literally is just the talent scout. He's finding the right people, putting them in the room, and he was like, He's like, if I put all these pieces here, it'll go well. Which is like to me the exact thing that was happening with Zed in the case of the middle, right? Where it was like he was coordinating everything. He was producing it in a more not in the music producer sense, but in kind of the film sense of producing, right?
Yeah. So sometimes you need that.
The break music for this episode is Renaissance by myself, Xander Rose. You can find it on all streaming platforms, available everywhere. I also wanted to say that this episode of the Pop Off Podcast is brought to you by Stir Fry Records. You can find a Spotify playlist of Stir Fry Records in the show notes for this episode, and there you can find all of the released music by all the Stir Fry artists, including myself and K-OG and some other people. Now, without further ado, let's get back into the episode.
Welcome back to the Pop Up Podcast, where we talk about the nightlife industry and experiences of music industry professionals. And here we've got our boy Xander Rose back and our very special guest, Young Friend.
What up?
Young Friend, are you ready for the rapid fire question, Pop Up?
I've never been more ready for anything in my whole life.
All right. Let's make this happen. So, what song is popping off? You know, what song you've been listening to like constantly? Like, what's the tune in your life right now? Yeah.
Honestly, in the past 24 hours, 10 out of 10, Rex Orange County has been like yesterday, I swear to God, I listened to it like 8 times. It's just, I didn't like it when it first came out. And I was like really off-put by it. But I'm like now starting to recognize what an earworm it is. And 2, the songwriting is phenomenal. It's like
someone just posted that artist in it's called Co-Ed Rave Power. It's like a group for ravers and stuff. But one of the posts was like, what's your favorite non-EDM artist? And they said Red whatever.
Rex he's I discovered him through Tyler the Creator because he was featured on Flower Boy.
What song was it?
Boredom.
Right.
Yeah, that song. He did that song, and he's amazing. And really he put out his album same day as Kanye, Friday.
Nice.
And it's so good, and that whole album has been like
phenomenal.
And so that's a hip hop artist as well.
No, it's like you should listen to it. It's like indie pop. I would say.
Yeah.
But it's like kind of got a vintage feel to it. His songwriting is just so good. He's like a really phenomenal musician. I saw him earlier last year.
Nice.
And I'm going to see him again with Matt.
Hey, let me say
in January.
Yeah, shout out Matt. All right, cool. Moving on. Which artist is popping up other than, of course, yourself in the city of Vancouver? Like, who do you think is really making moves and really
Sydney Kwan.
Sid the Kid?
Sydney Kwan is like
I mean her branding is a fucking on
that's like
point.
It's a combination. Like for me, she's the whole package, man. She's got her image is like airtight.
On point,
she's a phenomenal vocalist and producer. Like she's
producing all the tracks.
Such a talented producer. And she's also like down to earth as hell. I think it's at Sid Kwan, KWAN on Instagram. I'm like plugging Sydney. I hope you listen to this.
I'm plugging you.
Yeah, she's phenomenal. She's like gonna go so
she's
far.
like as soon as I see her image, it's like pop star, bubblegum pop star. You know
it's it's such a no-brainer. Like you don't question a damn thing about it, which is why it's so good.
Exactly what it is and like what to expect.
It's so impressive. It's like
it's like familiar. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's consistent and it's
totally.
Yeah, she's amazing. She makes great music.
We love you, Sid.
We love you, Sydney Kwan.
All right. So performance pop off. I think I meant with this is just like what was the last show or like last
performance of yours that went. You just felt amazing, energized, like the feeling you were talking about earlier.
Yeah. Well, like I want to talk about the EP release party in July because it was great and it was like the energy was crazy. But I'll talk about the Railway show I played in August because that was like a huge learning curve for me. I opened for these other artists in August, like about a month after the EP came out. And I honestly, it was a great show. It was not like a crazy turnout. The energy wasn't like totally wild, but it was like the most tight our band has ever been, like the live band that I'm playing with.
Yeah.
And it was like really well received. Everybody sounded great. Like it was really fun to be a supporting act for the first time to like open for somebody and kind of learn that curve because
was that your first time?
Yeah,
on support?
Opening. Yes, it was because the first time, like up to then, every show I played was like we were the headliners. It was our show. Like it was showcasing us or myself, and it was. I had such a good time playing that show. I like got off stage and I couldn't tell if it was a good show or not. And then all my friends came up to me and they're like, "That was your best show you've ever played."
Oh yeah.
And I was like so distraught because I was like, we just played the EP release party a month ago. People were going wild. Like it was like crazy show. The energy was amazing. And I felt like that was my best show. But then they were like, no, this was your best. Like you guys played really well. Yeah. So it was cool. It was a really cool experience. That was a great show.
And the next question, I've just like started to notice like throughout the years you've accumulated a lot of tattoos.
Oh yeah.
So,
sorry, Mom.
I was just gonna ask, like, what tattoo parlor in Vancouver is the pop?
That's a good question because I need a referral. So
okay. Well, a lot of my tattoos I got when I was in Europe when I was traveling.
Yeah.
But in Vancouver, the guy that did my most recent one, Skinny Cam,
Yeah.
He works out of Outsider Collective.
Yeah. How'd you find him?
He was referred to me by a friend of mine. She's gotten tattooed by him like 3 times, like 3 pieces from him.
Is he just looking at that tattoo? Is he like more specialized in shading
very traditional? Like he's so cool, man. He's like he takes like tradition. He's really good at like basic traditional work, but he also does these really really cool abstract mixed with traditional designs. It's really cool. If you have the chance on Instagram, it's Skinny Cam, and he's just got like some really cool work. And I really like his style. I really like bold, like thick lines.
Yeah.
Skinny Cam. Shout out Skinny Cam. He's also like such a nice guy.
Oh yeah.
Like
Skinny sounds.
He's so cool.
He sounds like he's a nice guy.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah, that's him.
Oh, yeah.
It's really cool. Like some of it's like very traditional, and then some of it's these really weird kind of abstract shapes.
He's got good line work. That's what I'm looking for.
Next question. I know you're a very avid coffee drinker.
Yes.
So I was gonna ask, like, what's the coffee shop
today?
Now, what coffee shop is popping up? Like, which is the coffee shop to go to in
Vancouver?
Yeah.
There's like a few.
Hit 'em.
There's a few that I'm like regularly going to.
Which ones?
Revolver.
Nice.
Great. Classic. Birds and the Beats. Very cool. All like a very sustainably run organization.
Mm-hmm.
Like their machine functions very sustainably, which is really cool.
Right.
If that's what you're looking for, which you should be. Save the earth. I want to say one on the North Shore, Le Petit Cafe. It's actually like 2 blocks up from my house. It's
it's the one in the village,
super
right?
small. No, it's like on. I'm not gonna give my address away on the podcast, but it's like really close to my house. It's like a 2-minute walk.
Yeah.
And it's run by these 2 French Canadian ladies. I believe they're French Canadian, and they're super lovely, and they make great coffee.
All right. Moving on. So, as an independent artist, I'm sure you've got experience, like, marketing and like figuring out how to build your image, independently. Like now you're managed by Zach.
Yeah.
So
and like through like distributing through nightlife. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. But I was just wondering, like, for artists that are just starting out, like, what social media platform is best for, like building a brand and getting your name out there.
Yeah, you guys are gonna hate me for this, and I hate it too, and I haven't used it. But TikTok. I think here's the thing. I think it's super cringy.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's I would not want to be one of those guys on there that's trying to act all sexy and whatever. But like,
is that what they do on there? I thought it was
yes.
supposed to be funny.
Okay, but like, think about
it is funny.
Lil Nas X.
Yeah.
BB No Money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Low Key. Like, so many songs are like Old Town Road blew up because of TikTok.
It went nuclear.
It hit it like the algorithm in TikTok. Everybody's making videos to it. It goes like completely viral. That's how that like literally kickstarted this.
Do you think though, like you need to be the kind of artist who's making viral potential songs? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if it was,
like a folk artist, probably not.
Or I don't know, like, when you're talking about an album concept, right? You have like your singles and stuff, and then there's like the 7th track it's not meant to be a single.
Yeah.
Is that really going to go viral off of TikTok? So how are you going to market the songs that aren't meant to be, or like from our perspective, right? In making EDM, and especially if you're not making Calvin Harris type of EDM or Marshmallow type of EDM, Chainsmokers. Yeah, that viral potential doesn't really exist. So
honestly, I'm still trying to figure out how to market those in between songs.
Yeah.
But that's still something I'm figuring out. But I think for like the songs that are the singles, that seems to be like a really, really good way to get your shit to blow up.
But it's also like, look at the songs that have blown up. Like Old Town Road is an absolute.
Well, like so is La La La.
Yeah.
Like it's like.
But an absolute what?
And
song?
the thing is,
it's memes. Like they're not.
Exactly. That's kind of the point I'm making, right? Is like
those songs. You never see them in like
a song that has like one vocals, right?
Yeah.
And it has to have like really catchy.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's like pretty. I agree. It's very specific to like one kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like there's like I've been trying to like figure out how it works and like what's popped off because of this app. because it's like huge right now.
Yeah.
And I've been like refusing to pay attention to it for so long because like of how like the reputation it has of being like this cringy, really like young thing.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like if your song has the potential to be one of those songs, that's probably the best way to do it.
Well, then maybe let's rephrase it to like, what is your favorite way of engaging your audience and the community of people who support
Instagram
you?
Instagram and YouTube. I'm not huge on YouTube or anything. Like I don't have a lot of videos out, so probably Instagram.
Instagram right now.
Yeah, it seems like I really like Twitter. I think Twitter's super cool. Like it's probably my favorite social media.
It doesn't exist in Vancouver though.
No, there's not a Twitter scene here.
I wonder why.
But Instagram's great. You can like connect with people and like people like can message you pretty easily. And I mean, like I read all my messages, and if I don't read it, there's like a reason.
Yeah.
Like it's probably because I don't want to open that message.
Yeah.
But like if somebody sends me a message and it's like, I love your stuff, like I have some like questions about whatever, of course I'm gonna open it and like talk to these people. Like I feel like there's a lot of artists that are like, I'm not gonna open my DMs, I'm not gonna talk to my fans, like whatever. And it's like, why not? Like you're not huge.
Yeah.
Why aren't you responding? Like interact with them. They'll be so stoked if you like hit them back and are like, thank you so much. Like because that's they are the reason why you can do what you do. Like,
and especially if you want to reward and incentivize certain behavior, like people reposting your tracks from like Spotify or whatever into their Instagram story.
Yeah,
always hit that with a like and thank you.
Repost
just show them that you noticed.
Just be like, thank you for like sharing this.
Yeah,
that's like what is.
And I'll always reshare it into my. Because it benefits me. It shows legitimacy that other people are.
It's like people are listening. It's
exactly.
like proof.
Yeah,
it's like
validation.
Yeah,
honestly, it kind of is, which is really funny. But it's totally true. It's like
100%. Because I look at and I'm sure you're the same way. I look at my Spotify stats, and I know it's not people from Vancouver listening to my music.
Yep.
So when I see anyone posted it into their story, I'm like, hey, my whole Instagram audience is people from Vancouver. So I'll repost and be like, hey guys, why aren't you listening to my music like these other people are?
It's huge in Atlanta.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Actually, like one of my songs did really, really well in Atlanta and really, really well in Istanbul.
Really?
Which is super funny.
I just had the weirdest thing happen like a week ago where one of my songs randomly just took off in Phoenix and Chicago.
Cool.
Like 7,000 listeners from Phoenix out of nowhere. Wow. And then Chicago and Las Vegas, which I normally do get lots from all the time. But Phoenix and Chicago, I have no idea how that happened. Just
that's
like
so weird.
I did some playlists and just
exploded.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And moving on from social media.
Social media is weird.
Yeah, it is a little. It's a weird.
That's
beast.
my take. I if I had a choice, I wouldn't have any social media.
Yeah, honestly,
to be honest,
you have to.
If I wasn't making music, I'd be a fucking ghost. For sure.
Yeah.
That shit sucks. But it's a good way
to
to
a little more music related, man. What streaming platform is popping up for artists? Like, what do you think is like the best avenue for artists to post on?
Spotify. Like,
had a question,
right? I mean, I would really love to see Apple Music. It's like Spotify has like Spotify artists. You can see all your analytics.
Yeah,
so well.
They just launched Apple
Music for artists.
Yeah,
it's like,
but it sucks.
It's not good.
Yeah,
it's like.
It just got out of beta, so I understand why it's not good, but it's like I don't want to.
So bad, and it takes you so long to get access to your account.
Yeah,
like it's like such a process, and I really do like Apple Music. Like the quality's better than it is on Spotify because I think they add some extra type of compression when you upload it to Apple Music. Because Spotify, it's like they don't.
On Spotify, they do. So on Spotify, they do. On Spotify, they do add compression.
Oh,
and if you have premium, you have to manually go in and set your streaming quality to 320 for your bitrate.
Oh, really?
I did not know that.
Yeah, so I would really know the quality if I were you. And also, Spotify will even let you choose the level of compression that they're doing, because they'll also do like actual like mastering type of dynamics compression.
Yeah.
And by default, I think it's set to either like mild compression or like loud, which means it's compressing even further.
Yeah.
And the problem is, if you're like a real audiophile, you don't want that. You want 0 because you want to maintain the dynamics of the original song.
Yeah.
So you hear how the artist intended.
Totally.
And then, also the bitrate quality thing is like by default, it's not at the highest setting. So you have because it wants to save bandwidth on your Wi-Fi or whatever and not be downloading the biggest files.
Okay, I totally get that.
Yeah.
I was wrong. Well, then never mind. Fuck Apple Music. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. So you can change that. So I have Spotify. Spotify, you can also set EQs and everything that you want. So which is good.
Spotify's great, man.
But again, the default options are for normie mainstream people. So it like assumes you want an EQ curve. I'm like, no, I should have to opt into that. Stop fucking with my music, man.
Yeah. I think like there's like downsides to like everything. And when it comes to Spotify, it's like you can have like a shit song that's terrible, but if you hit the algorithm correctly, it can blow up. And
Murder on My Mind comes to my mind when that's.
I agree. I don't think it's a good song.
Well, it's just like the production on it is like
it's bad.
It's bad.
Sorry if there's any like Melly fans that are listening to this, but like totally. I just don't like that.
It's not the song that I don't like. It's just the production. The production behind the song, I could hear.
It was also like a meme for a bit.
It was.
He went to jail.
Did he blow up on TikTok too? Or is that just a
no idea? I have no idea. Don't come to me with TikTok related questions. I don't hold the keys. I swear. Yeah, Spotify's cool. It's like it's made music a lot more accessible. To like release, like it's a lot easier to release something now than it was like 20 years ago because of Spotify.
Yeah, it is quite mysterious though. I would agree with you that like it's by far the most important platform, and it's the best in terms of like your analytics and everything.
Yeah.
And also as a consumer, I love Spotify. I use Spotify daily, but
Spotify has all your playlists.
It is very like they even have the help articles where it's like how to read your data, and I'm like, I don't understand what's going on here. Like,
I'm still gonna read it the way I did before.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I don't know what I did differently for a month into a release this song to randomly pick up in Phoenix.
I know.
What am I supposed to learn from that?
Maybe you should start reading the manuals.
Like I had a song like a month or a month and a half ago that something happened and it was at like its daily stream was like 250 a day or something like that. And it had this one day where it was like 2.4 in a day. And then the next day it was back to normal. And
it's exactly what happened with me. With this,
how?
I don't get it.
Why? Why? Happened? Like,
I need to know.
Why was it so big and everybody had to listen to it this one day? And then the next day it's like, okay, just like.
But you also like to me it makes me worried about like, okay, well, why was the retention so poor? Did it go to a bunch of new people who didn't want to hear it? And now they're like, fuck this guy, right? I'm like,
well, what's going
on?
What I think it might be is because the algorithm's weird. It might have it might have been added to something.
Yeah.
And taken out of something.
Yeah, really like within a day.
Because I know like Crouch and 40 Sippas, they were added accidentally to a Billie Eilish playlist, like an all Billie Eilish playlist. And their song like shot. Yeah. Because of that.
And someone at Spotify was like, oh, I fucked up.
Oh, that's not supposed to be there. Yeah. But it got them like a bunch of streams, I think. That wasn't why their song blew up.
Yeah.
But
it just like
so sketchy. It just sketches me out.
I know it's like
finicky,
very untamed. It's I feel like you can understand kind of how to like work it and how to hit like the algorithm. Like
I wonder if it's actually like built in, and it's like like how gambling like they'll let you win every now and then to keep
you there. You gotta keep you motivated.
Spotify has some sort of like gambling algorithm.
Like, all the like smaller artists.
It's like maybe with the small artists. I was like the big artists. What the fuck's going on? But
could you imagine being Kanye and you're doing like I don't know like 100K streams a day or whatever, and then one day it shoots up to 100 million. He's like, whoa,
wait a minute,
what's going on here?
Did you guys listen to Jesus King?
No, I didn't even know it existed until like a day ago.
So I listened to it. I'm not gonna give my opinion, and that's that.
Someone
Follow God is really good. Follow God is a great song.
All right. Last but not least, final question, Mr. Young Friend. What did you have popping off, my friend?
Well, working on a lot of new music. Expect like a single in the next like couple of months. Which is, I know that's like a long time frame. Yeah. But we're trying to make it like as best as we can.
Totally.
And I'm not going to put it out until I'm like really, really sure that it's ready to be out. But I'm playing at the Roxy on December 13th.
Oh, nice.
I'm playing a show with Kate. If you haven't listened to Kate before, she's phenomenal. Okay. She's an artist here from Vancouver, but she's moving to London real soon. She's like, when I think of her, I think her and Sydney Kwan are like doing similar things, different genres. Like Kate's doing more like R&B, and Sydney Kwan's doing like pop, bubblegum pop. But Kate has like this consistency. I know I'm supposed to be plugging myself, and I'm just plugging. Yeah. she deserves it.
And what is it on Spotify?
It's CATE, all caps Kate.
Okay.
She's got one song out.
Okay. Nice. Once. So it was December 13th, you said?
December 13th, playing the Roxy.
The Roxy.
Headline the Roxy with Kate, and I think.
Is it ticketed or?
Yeah, it'll be ticketed.
So you can find that through your social media, I assume?
Which is like on every platform, it's at It's Young Friend.
Yeah, so we'll throw that in the show notes as well.
Yeah.
Do you have it set up on Spotify where it shows your like upcoming shows or whatever?
I know we did with the Railway show that I just played like last week.
Yeah.
But I don't think the Roxy's on there yet.
Okay. So go to his social media to see that.
Follow me on social media.
Any other shows upcoming?
That's the only one I've booked right now. Just like focusing on making great music.
Yeah. What day of the week is that?
It's Friday. It's Friday the 13th.
Oh.
Yeah. So come and get
nice. Thank you all for listening to this episode of the Pop Off Podcast. I've been your host, Xander Rose, with the co-host, DJ K-OG. And we're doing this on behalf of Stir Fry Records, a record label, which you can find on all streaming services. You can also find a Spotify playlist with all of our music included in it, all the Stir Fry Records music. So just look that up on Spotify. You can find it. If you want to support the show, there's a couple different ways you can do that. Best way to do it is just word of mouth by showing it to friends and family. Pretty easy way. Just share it from whatever podcast player you're listening on. We're now on Apple Podcasts as well as Overcast and Stitcher. And I believe we're on Spotify podcasts now, but I might be wrong about that. It's a bit of a burden to confirm that. The other way that you can help is if you're listening to the YouTube version is to leave a like, comment down below what you enjoyed. And if you aren't subscribed already, just subscribe to this channel, and then that will also help out with getting this seen by more people. So thank you again for listening, and pop off.